The void was quiet, bone-bleached dark, silent except for the soft hum of the Vanguard systems. Captain Mara Lee stood at the command viewport, gaze fixed on the distant anomaly that rose in the stellarscape, a swirling vortex of copper clouds, rippling with pulses of energy. Scanner array detects no known atmospheric signature, Caldera reported. Magnetic flux is inconsistent. Thermal output negative. A flicker on the display showed an image, a massive, translucent spire reaching into the cyclone. Light twisted around it in fractal loops. Commander Trell leaned in. That structure, it can't exist. Yet there it is, Mara replied. Plot a course. We cross at closest intercept. This is what we came for. Around her, the bridge crew readied torque beds and hover rails. Aaron checked navigational locks. Cora shut off external comm relays. Reyes replaced his sidearms charging packs. Ven double-checked his medical sensors. Mara's voice cut through final buzz. We drop in. We map the spire. And we bring back whatever it is, or burn the entry shield down trying. In the hangar, X-Ultras suited up. The insertion pods swung at the aft tubes, lined like metallic hibernation pods. Reyes settled into his harness. Cora tested her Gravlance alignment. Wrath's helmet clicked into place. Ven flicked his medical null field online. Mara walked past, pausing at each pod with a nod. Don't let gravity wait, she said quietly. They launched. Through vacuum they penetrated the copper vortex, as if through shockwaves of silk. Ionic storms danced across the outer hull. Caldera's voice was calm and steady, guiding them. Drop trajectories pathing to Fisher Point Epsilon 2. Gravity differentials at threshold, rising to 0.4 G. They hit the perimeter, without warning. The pods shuddered, gravity bucked. Time lengthened. Then, abruptly, they cleared the cloud. A clear void opened. Inside was the spire. A massive construct of translucent crystal, wider than city blocks, tapering into a needle deep within the vortex. At its base, a platform. Bright glyphic ribbons looping upward. Rey's breath echoed in his calm. That thing's humming. They docked beside the platform. The hatch sealed. Red lights clicked on. Gravity fell to near zero. Stepping out, the anomaly pulsed around them. The spire's glyphs glowed rhythmically, light pulses feeding the field above. The air tasted electric. Everything shifted. Cora tested her gauntlet. Reading is strange. Not psi interference, exactly. Emotional tone, memory echoes. Ven inhaled. Air feels alive. Wrath remained still, scanning. They advanced in single file toward a crystalline door. Wrath placed a micropulse anchor. The door slid aside, folding like glass petals. Inside lay nothing. A void chamber. Black quartz walls absorbing every photon, but pulsing with faint glyph nodes. At the center, a pedestal, topped by a sphere of shimmering metal, the core. Mara's voice came over their comms. Silent, but resolute. Blue light. Energy rippled. The sphere glowed cobalt. Threads of silver wove outward. Then the air cracked with sound they couldn't hear. From walls, apparitions. Not solid. Not human. Not friendly. They flickered into being. 6 figures clad in ragged crystal robes, faces lost to shadow. They carried no weapons, yet they advanced. Cora hissed, "We triggered something ancient." Reyes slung his rifle. "We didn't come here to talk." Wrath unsheathed his blade. Ven knelt, hesitated, then stood, resolute. The clash began not with force, but with sudden light. Wrath surged forward, blade striking one figure through its form. It collapsed like broken glass. Cora hacked a glyph node. Walls flickered. A figure staggered. Reyes fired his Gravlance, ripping 2 figures sideways.
They shattered.
But the core reacted. The sphere glowed brighter. Rods of light descended, striking walls. Glyphic waves rolled like whispers. The last figure, cloaked one, stepped forward. It raised its hand. No sound. Its eyes pulsed gold. Their minds trembled. Ven gasped, "It's reading us." Mara's voice channeled across all comms lines. "Engage."
Now.
At once, the team converged. Grav anchors slammed in. Shockwaves shattered phantoms. The last figure reeled. Then something changed. The sphere quit pulsing. The glyph waves receded. The final figure slumped. Light faded. It dissolved. Nothing left but dust. They approached the core cautiously. The crystalline sphere now hovered, unguarded, glowing steadily. Rays placed the containment cage around it. Ghostly hum filled the room. Cora hissed, "It's secure?"
Ven nodded.
Thermal and psionic readings stable. Wrath anchored the path back. Back aboard Vanguard, the sphere glowed in the vault beside the mechanism, but unlike those fragments, this was singular and pure. Aaron's voice trembled over bridge comm, 3 signal sources linked. Vessel resonance altered. Trell studied the perimeter grid. That core just recalculated our defensive matrix. Cora added, "We can interface with it." Mara nodded slowly. "Test it." System lights dimmed. Calm pulsed through the ship. The resonance chamber hummed. Ven, monitor in hand, exhaled. "It's syncing with our neural loop." Wrath's face read calm astonishment. "We just integrated it." Mara tapped the console. Open deep space reach channel. Broadcast human standard, beacon. See what replies. Silence stretched.
And
A single ping. Deep tone. Unfamiliar. Within the void, lights pulsed. On the screen, 5 new uncharted coordinates lit. Caldera's voice held awe. "They heard us." Aaron asked softly, "And they're coming back?" Mara's stare didn't leave the map. "They better." The pulsing coordinates burned onto the star map like cosmic scars, 5 distinct points, arranged not randomly, but in a spiraling pattern across 3 sectors. Their origin was impossible to trace. Their composition, pure energy, wrapped in something older than code. Aaron leaned back from the console, face pale in the blue glow. I ran it through Caldera's entropy calculators. Each point transmits the same pulse, a beckoning rhythm.
Cora froned.
"It's a song." Ven adjusted the neural translator. "Not music in the human sense. It's a request. A test." Mara crossed her arms. "Or a trap." Trell, standing at her side, murmured, "One that sounds exactly like something we'd walk into." Mara nodded. "Exactly." She turned to Caldera. "How long to reach the closest point?" 6 hours at full burn through sublight corridor. The rift belts nearby could interfere with standard warp protocols. Suggest we phase hop along inner drift lanes. Do it. And prep X-Ultra. Down in the armory bay, X-Ultra moved like a clock wound by war. The hum of reinforced exoframes. The hiss of power cell checks. Blades sharpened under plasma edge. Wrath checked the seals of his armor without a word. Rays loaded grav bolts into his launcher with mechanical precision. Cora paced slowly, watching a flickering readout of the unknown coordinates. Ven clipped medical stabilizers to his back, humming under his breath. Rays finally broke the silence. "Feels different this time." "Cora, different how?" Ray's mouth twitched. "Like they're not waiting to stop us. Like they're daring us to keep coming." Wrath responded with a low grunt. Agreement. As the Vanguard coasted through the rift belts, the strange energy from the core continued to radiate through the ship. It didn't interfere, it synchronized. Systems became faster, more responsive. Caldera's own AI function sharpened. Captain, the AI intoned. The sphere's energy signature is now fully bonded with the mechanism containment vault. This artifact is no longer passive. It's transmitting within ship systems. Mara stared at the readout. Is it sentient? Not in any human sense. But it learns. Cora's voice came in through bridge comms. It's trying to help us. Mara exhaled. Then let's see what help looks like. The first coordinate was embedded inside a hollowed-out moon, once the core of a thriving planet, now nothing but a thin shell of rock. They arrived in orbit just as a storm of glowing particles surged across its surface. Mass disturbance, Aaron said. Something's pulling gravity inward. Something beneath the surface, Trell added. Suggest we send X-Ultra down. Mara nodded. Drop them. The insertion pod rattled as it passed into the moon's crust. What should have been solid rock melted into an artificial shell, layered alloys, hollowed spaces, staircases, and at the heart, a chamber of immense quiet. Floating in the center, a crystalline obelisk, rotating slowly, surrounded by shattered debris and petrified corpses. Cora stepped close, visor glowing. Those aren't just corpses. They're trophies. Ven scanned one. Biosignature. Early galactic civilization. Pre-warp. Extinct or made extinct. Reyes stared at the obelisk. That's a beacon. Same pattern as the one we pulled from the storm. As they approached, the room darkened. Then, the obelisk flared. Not white. Not blue.
Red.
And in that light, it spoke. A voice that wasn't a voice. You're not welcome. Reyes raised his weapon. Yeah, well, we're not tourists. Without warning, the room fractured. Walls peeled back, revealing 6 guardian constructs, each shaped from metallic bone and cracked crystal. They attacked as one. What followed was chaos made perfect. Wrath's blade danced in arcs, carving through one construct in a single, clean slice. Cora fired pulse disruptors at glyph plates, disabling their shields. Reyes leapt, slamming 2 into the obelisk's base. Ven shielded the team with rotating psi barriers as shockwaves surged outward. The obelisk vibrated. Cracks appeared. One by one, the guardians fell, not just broken, but silenced. When the last one dropped, the obelisk let out a final pulse and shattered into thousands of suspended shards. A single shard floated to Rey's hand, glowing gold. Its data. Back aboard the Vanguard, the shard interfaced with the mechanism vault instantly. Caldera processed the transfer. Captain. New layer decoded. A galactic map. But older than the UHC's entire archive. Aaron leaned in. It's not just where the other signals came from. It's who sent them. Trell's brow furrowed. Ancient humans?
Caldera corrected. No.
Something older. Something that knew we would come. The bridge fell silent. Then Mara spoke. They left these breadcrumbs for someone who could pass their trials. And now, she added quietly, they're watching. The mechanism pulsed once, slowly. And on the edge of the star map, a 6th point appeared. Unlisted. Undesignated. But glowing.
Plot course, Mara said.
We finish what they started. The point pulsed in deep violet. Caldera's voice softened. No known system. No gravitational footprint. It doesn't exist on any star chart, including the UHC's restricted archives. Aaron stared at the map. Then how is it transmitting? Because it was never meant to be found, Mara murmured. Trell looked up from his terminal. If the other 5 locations were trials, this is something else. Mara turned to him. The finish line. The Vanguard moved through space like a blade drawn across velvet. The stars warped around her hull as they phased into the 6th coordinate. No light met them. No planet. No signal. Only emptiness, until suddenly not emptiness. The darkness unfolded. It bloomed like ink and water. Out of the void came structure. A sphere the size of a small moon, wrapped in geometric spirals, angles that shifted when stared at. Its surface looked like polished obsidian laced with silver veins. Around it spun smaller satellites, dead, broken, and drifting. Ven stepped onto the bridge. The satellites are former ships, judging by their shape, from dozens of civilizations. Cora added, all failed the final test. Wrath stood silently at the viewport. Mara gave the order, without hesitation. X-Ultra, prep. We go in. They breached the construct through a gate carved with symbols not even Caldera could translate. Inside was silence. Not dead silence, suspended silence. As though sound was being held in place by an unseen will. Every footstep echoed without echo. Every breath sounded like thunder. The interior was impossible to map. Walls curved where they shouldn't. Gravity fluctuated every 10 meters. Light shifted without source. It wasn't a structure. It was a maze. Or a mind. Cora whispered, "We're inside a sentient artifact." Reyes grinned. "At least it's quiet." Then the voice came again. No sound. Just presence. Humanity is not alone. Reyes clenched his fists. "Didn't say we were." "Your kind persists." "Damn right we do," Cora muttered. "And that persistence may be dangerous." A chamber opened ahead of them, shaped like a cathedral of metal and light. In the center hovered a cube, each side rotating in perfect harmony, covered in etched patterns, some similar to the mechanism's own surface. Ven stepped forward. "It's communicating with the mechanism." The mechanism, stored within a mobile containment field, vibrated once. Then the cube split apart, not violently, but delicately. Inside was Deceit. Ven's readings went wild. Organic. Living. And old. Possibly older than galactic formation itself. Caldera's voice cracked across the channel. "Warning. A matching signal just activated from the structure's far hemisphere. Energy buildup increasing exponentially." Mara's voice cut in over comms. "X-Ultra. Extraction window closing. Do you have the payload?" Reyes locked eyes with the seed. "We have it." As they turned to leave, the maze shifted. Walls rose. Gravity collapsed. Time slipped. Suddenly, they weren't in the same chamber. They weren't in the same reality. Wrath turned, blade drawn. Cora's face paled. What just happened? Before them stood versions of themselves. Not reflections. Duplicates. Twisted copies. Same gear. Same faces. But the eyes hollow. Mara's voice buzzed over static. "Team, do you read?" Reyes raised his rifle. "If this is another test, I'm done playing." The first copy stepped forward, a warped Cora, her body flickering with static. "I am the end of your line." And then violence. What followed was unlike any battle they'd faced. The copies knew their tactics, anticipated their strikes. It wasn't just a fight, it was evolution. The maze was using their own strategies against them in real time. Reyes was knocked to the floor. Ven screamed through a haze of white noise. Wrath fought like a storm, but even he was slowing. Cora stabbed her copy with a fractal blade. It shimmered, then screamed, collapsing into dust. Ven shouted, "They're unstable. If you reject the memory they're copying, they can't maintain form." They fought differently. More unpredictably. More humanly. Wrath tore his copy apart by sheer will. Reyes sucker punched his with a cracked grav stabilizer. Ven burned his in a short-range overload. Finally, only one remained, a flickering Mara, half-formed, holding a twisted version of the mechanism. The real Mara's voice came in through comms. Whatever you're seeing, finish it. Cora didn't hesitate. She hurled a pulse charge directly at the false mechanism. Impact. Light erupted. They were yanked back into the original corridor. No sign of duplicates.
No hecho.
Only the seed, still intact, glowing softly in Ray's hand. They ran. The corridors collapsed behind them, reality unraveling. They reached the extraction pod seconds before the structure's surface peeled away like burning paper. As the Vanguard pulled them aboard, the sphere cracked open, and from it poured light. A singularity of memory, color, and raw time. Not a weapon. A record. The mechanism absorbed it silently. And then the sphere vanished. Not destroyed. Finished. Back aboard the Vanguard, the mechanism pulsed once. Then again. It began to speak through Caldera. Not a voice. An instruction. A coordinate. One word. Earth. The bridge of the Vanguard fell completely silent. Every eye locked on the pulsating containment field that held the mechanism. Caldera's voice spoke again, low and even. The mechanism has transmitted a navigational coordinate. It maps precisely to Earth's system, but 2 light minutes beneath its heliospheric plane. Trell squinted. There's nothing there. We've scanned that dead zone since first contact days. Ven adjusted his readings. Maybe not dead. Maybe hidden. Captain Mara stood slowly, her eyes dark with weight. Plot a course. Take us in. The jump was short but uneasy. As the Vanguard emerged near the sun, sensors flared. Aaron turned toward the captain, pale. We're not alone. A structure, buried in deep gravitational distortion, revealed itself. Not a satellite. Not a vessel. Something old. The size of a moon, wrapped in shifting panels of alloy that shimmered like layered crystal. Not entirely technological. Not entirely alive. Confirming unknown material composition, Caldera said. No trace elements match known Earth records. Or galactic ones, Holt added. They hovered in orbit, watching. And then a voice spoke. Not Caldera. Not anyone human. Just there. You carry the seed. The trial is complete. Return what was taken. Reyes looked at Mara. Taken from where? The mechanism pulsed again. Harder this time. It wanted to go inside. They sent a scout pod with X-Ultra aboard. Wrath, Reyes, Cora, and Ven. Just like before. Only this time, they weren't greeted with conflict. Inside the structure, light. Endless white corridors curved like flowing rivers of glass. The floor hummed like a lullaby. Cora whispered, "This place feels familiar." Reyes nodded. It shouldn't. The mechanism pulsed in Ven's pack. A door appeared, a massive obsidian archway that hadn't been there a moment before. They stepped through it and into a chamber so large it felt like stepping outside again. And at its center, a tree. Massive. Woven from metal and memory. Its branches held worlds. Literally. Thousands of spheres, each glowing faintly, some cracked, some dark, some pulsing. A map of civilizations. Ven's mouth went dry. This is where they recorded the tests. Mara's voice crackled in their ears. What do you see? Reyes answered. History. All of it. The mechanism vibrated and floated from Ven's pack toward the tree. As it reached the trunk, it disassembled piece by piece and merged with the bark. The tree shivered. Lights flickered across its spheres. A new branch grew, quick and deliberate, ending in a single glowing orb.
Blue. Earth. Cora blinked.
It added us. Then everything changed. The light dimmed, the air rippled, and a presence filled the room. Not a form, just a knowing. Caldera's voice cracked through the calm. Warning. Shipboard AI is experiencing foreign override. The presence spoke, through them.
Around them.
You passed. But in passing, you changed the record. The mechanism has taken from us. Wrath stepped forward, fists clenched. We took nothing. We were tested. We won. You won with violence. With will. With deviation. That was never the design. Mara's voice cut in. Then, maybe your design was flawed. The chamber shook. Lights across the tree began to flicker. Some spheres darkened completely. Caldera gasped. Multiple resonance collapses. Other civilizations are being erased. Trell turned. Are we doing this? No, Aaron said, trembling. It is. Back in the chamber, the presence trembled. You must return the influence. Humanity is not permitted to rewrite origin. Cora stared at the Earth sphere on the branch. It's not about recording us. Ven nodded. It's about containing us. Reyes reached toward the Earth node. And the moment his fingers brushed it, everything cracked. The tree screamed. The presence roared. And Earth woke up. Not the planet. Not the species. Something beneath it. A signal long dormant, buried under tectonic memory and Paleolithic silence, responded. Caldera gasped. Earth's core just pulsed with a subgravitic message. It's replying. The presence shattered. The tree collapsed inward, not destroyed, but folded into its own seed. The chamber vanished. X-Ultra tumbled into light, and were caught by the Vanguard's recovery field as the entire station began to dissolve. Mara caught Reyes as he landed. What did you do? He held up the seed. It wasn't the same. Now it had roots. The seed pulsed on the bridge floor, warm and bright. Its roots moved slightly, uncoiling and digging into nothing, like they were searching for something more than soil. Mara stood over it, arms crossed, watching with a quiet intensity. How's it doing that with no medium? Unknown, said Caldera. Energy signature matches early mechanism pulses, but there's a deviation. Stronger.
Faster.
Self-directed. Like it's becoming something else, Trell added. Like it's growing, Holt murmured. Reyes wiped blood from a scratch on his cheek. It was waiting. Whatever that station was, whatever those beings were, they weren't meant to hold us. We didn't break the test. He looked down at the seed. We survived it. Elorian space lit up like a storm. 3 ancient relay satellites, forgotten, supposedly dormant, flared awake at the edge of the system. They began transmitting a signal, one that hadn't pulsed since the first galactic exodus. Elorian Command issued warnings. Caldera translated first. Automated Council Beacon. Classified Directive. Message reads, Category Theta Origin Event. Earth Signal Detected. Legacy Protocol Breach. Intervention required. Aaron turned from his console. They're not asking us. They're coming. Trella's eyes hardened. Then they're going to try and lock us down. Mara shook her head. Let them come. We'll show them who they're dealing with. In the depths of the Vanguard, the seed changed again. Where once it had been mechanical, now it grew translucent plates, almost like wings or leaves, pulsing with crystalline data. Symbols formed across its surface. Not runes, not code.
Memory. Human memory.
Mara saw it first, a glimpse of her own reflection in the seed's surface. But it wasn't her face now. It was her as a child, staring at the stars from the edge of a ruined orbital station, long before command. Long before war. The seed remembered. Caldera confirmed the obvious. Council ships arrived 3 hours later. Not warships.
Worse.
They were archivists. Pale, elegant vessels with wings of thought glass and cores built from condensed null space. The Council didn't fight. They corrected. They preserved. And when a threat emerged, they excised. The lead ship broadcast a single message. By order of the Accord, the mechanism is to be surrendered. Humanity is to stand down. Mara sat in her command chair and let the message play again. Then again. Then she stood and sent her reply.
No.
A pulse wave hit the Vanguard. No weapons. Just a memory disruptor. The crew flinched, visions flickering through their minds. Forgotten faces. Regrets. Failures. The archivists were trying to rewrite them, subtly, gently, with clinical efficiency. The seed resisted. Its glow flared, and for a split second, every screen aboard the Vanguard flashed blue. Caldera's voice shuddered. Intervention failed. The seed has countered the rewrite. Council's signal disrupted. Then something happened. One of the archivist vessels changed. It shimmered, colors bleeding away, then began to pulse like a heartbeat. And from its core came a voice. You were never meant to ascend. The vaults are not yours to open. The seed replied with a surge, a shockwave of pure resonance. The ship buckled, but held. Caldera read the surge as it spread. Seed has emitted a counter-judgment, targeting the Council's core data lattice. It's undoing the containment logic. Trell grinned. We've become the anomaly. No, Mara said. We've become the standard. The Council vessels backed off. One vanished. Another dropped to inert drift. The third tried to respond, fired a containment beam laced with gravitic tendrils. The Vanguard didn't dodge. It fired back. A beam of pure human engineering, laced with arc frequencies, powered by the seed's resonance, and wrapped in humanity's defiance. It shattered the archivist weapon, and cut a hole straight through the vessel's null-glass spine. Mara stood as silence returned. No more tests. No more trials. Aaron turned toward her. What now? Caldera answered, not as a program, but with a tone that almost felt proud. The seed has activated. Coordinates pending. Earthborn inheritance unlocked. Ven stepped forward. You mean this was just a trigger? Yes. The star chart lit up with one location. Trell whistled low. That's deep core space. Unmapped. Mara nodded slowly. Looks like Earth just claimed a piece of the galaxy no one even knew existed. The coordinates shimmered across the holomap, so deep into the galaxy's core that it bent navigational logic. No hyperspace lanes. No records. Just a void where nothing had ever returned from. And now, the seed was pointing there. Aaron tapped the console. This isn't on any star chart. Even Caldera's deep void archives don't cover it. Trell's voice was lower than usual. We're not looking at uncharted space. We're looking at deliberately hidden space. Holt scanned the stellar mass beyond the coordinates. There's something there. A gravity sink. But no singularity. No radiation. Like a dead sun that never lived. Caldera chimed in. Triadic resonance detected. Frequencies match Earth's original mechanism data prior to uplift. Cora, standing in the shadows behind the ops deck, broke the silence. Then, that's where it started. Not just the mechanism. She looked at Mara. That's where we started. The Vanguard dropped from hyperspace like a blade into still water. Everything around them was quiet. No light. No motion. Not even static. Just the absence of the universe. And then the seed began to hum. Not audibly, but in the bones. In the teeth. In the memory. Ven clutched the console edge. It's triggering something in our neuroimprint layers. Like we've been here before. Mara stood, eyes fixed on the void ahead. Maybe something in us remembers. Not our minds. Our species. The dark parted, and the world revealed itself. They didn't see a planet. They saw a structure. A shell the size of a gas giant, layered in octagonal patterns and ribbed with luminous veins. Like a machine built around a hollow idea. Something had carved it into the fabric of space, suspended it, then sealed it shut. The center was missing. A sphere of absolute black. It wasn't a world. It was a cradle. And inside, something waited. Caldera's scans were slow. Painfully slow. Surface material predates the galactic core's formation. Internal layers show signs of stored temporal energy. Aaron shook his head. Time? Yes, Caldera replied. Not just space-time curvature. Stored time. Pocket universes folded inside each layer. Trell stared. Someone or something built this to outlive the galaxy. Mara's jaw clenched. And the seed brought us here. X-Ultra geared up. This wasn't a raid. This wasn't extraction or sabotage. This was discovery. They entered with full radiation seals, anti-psi dampeners, resonance field shields, and null fabric grapplers. The Vanguard hovered outside the cradle's gap as they dropped toward the surface in a stealth pod laced with seed harmonics. Ray's voice was low. If this thing wakes up and decides we don't belong. We convince it, Cora said. Wrath remained silent. Always did. The pod slid into the cradle. Instantly, everything shifted. One moment, they were descending toward the shell. The next, they stood on stone. Grass moved in a breeze that shouldn't exist. Sky overhead shimmered with auroras that bent like silk. They weren't inside the cradle. They were somewhere else. The seed pulsed in Cora's hand, still glowing. Ven tapped his scanner. Environmental data, matches, no known world. But the atmosphere's Earth-adjacent. Gravity identical. They turned slowly. In the distance was a structure.
White.
Towering. Made from the same translucent material as the mechanism. And it was waiting. Inside the tower was a single chamber. Circular. Echoing. At the center, a cradle of light, cradling a shape. It was humanoid. Almost. Too tall. Too smooth. Limbs just a fraction too long. Features soft, but ancient. Eyes closed. Sleeping. Holt's voice whispered through the comms from the Vanguard. I don't believe it. Aaron leaned in. What? Holt's voice cracked. It's human. Or something that came before humans. We're not the beginning. We're the branch. Mara's voice came through clearly. What's its status? Caldera's response was hesitant.
Alive.
Dream state. Neural patterns match seed resonance. It's connected. The being opened its eyes.
No alarm.
No threat. Just awareness. Its voice rang through the chamber, not sound. Just presence. You came. Cora raised the seed. We brought this. The being stepped forward. It looked at the seed. Then at them. I left it behind. So someone would find me. Only the right ones would. Mara stepped beside her team. Who are you? I am what you were before you were fractured. Before time forgot. I was cast into the cradle, and the mechanism became the lock. Ray's muttered, we just unlocked it. The being smiled. Humanity just came home. The being stood silent for a moment, letting the chamber breathe. Ray's tightened his grip on his weapon, but didn't raise it. Instinct told him it wouldn't matter. The being, neither male nor female, neither alien nor human, looked over the X-Ultra team and spoke with calm finality. You carry our echoes. The spark remains. Cora took a slow step forward, the seed still pulsing in her hand. What are you to us? Not your god. Not your origin. I am your sibling, buried in time. Wrath tilted his head, his voice gravel and heat. We never buried anyone. The being turned to him.
No.
But your ancestors did, when the first war broke time.
Ven blinked.
What war? The one you never remembered. Because we made sure you couldn't. The lights shifted. The seed glowed brighter. And suddenly, the chamber showed them. A vision unfolded, woven into the air like moving smoke. A world unlike any other. Green seas, silver towers, machines built from thought, and people walking among stars like garden paths. It was Earth, but not as they knew it. Then came the sundered sky. Machines falling. Eyes in the dark. An enemy that didn't destroy planets. It erased stories. Made you forget you had ever existed. It consumed memory, the being said. Our people, your people, we fought it. But when we realized we couldn't win, we hid our seed in time. Left behind only fragments. The mechanism was one of them. Cora whispered, and now it's awake again. The being nodded, because something is calling it back. Back on the Vanguard, the crew watched the feed from the tower, silent. Mara stood near Caldera's main projection node. You tracking this? Every waveform, Caldera answered. The being emits no threat profile. Its resonance is amplifying the seed's output. They are syncing, creating a signal. Trell furrowed his brow. A signal to what? No one answered, until the ship shuddered. Not from impact, from recognition. The void outside the cradle began to ripple. Aaron called out, something's emerging from subspace. I don't know what it is. Caldera's voice was quieter than usual. It's not a ship. Inside the tower, the being straightened. They heard us. Rays looked to the ceiling. Who? The being turned to him. The ones who should never have survived. And then the walls of the chamber began to melt. Not physically, but chronologically. Time slipped. A heartbeat stretched into minutes. The floor flickered between grass, ice, molten metal. Every step in evolution blinking through like a reel of cosmic film. Cora grabbed her head. It's distorting causality. No, the being said. It's correcting it. From the edge of the cradle, the Vanguard's long-range scanners showed something forming in the black sphere at the core of the shell. A shape. First small, then wider than a city.
No engines.
No power signature. Just mass. Twisting into existence like it had always been there, and reality had simply forgotten to render it.
Holt gasped.
It's like the founder ship, but older, sharper. Aaron's voice was dry. It's not alive. It's remembered. Mara didn't look away. Then someone wanted it forgotten. She tapped her comm. X-Ultra. Fall back to extraction.
Now.
The being held out a hand. You must not run. Rays turned to face it. That thing out there is not here for diplomacy. It isn't, the being said. It's here to collect.
Cora frowned.
Collect what? The seed pulsed brighter. The being's expression softened. You. And then everything fractured. The chamber split open like a blooming flower, revealing the void, stars distant and sharp, and in the center of it all, the remembered ship, folding into view like a memory too loud to ignore. It had no lights, no weapons, but its presence screamed war. Caldera's voice whispered through the comms. Temporal distortion is peaking. The ship is rewriting its own history into the current timeline. Trell turned to Mara. We can't let it lock in. If it roots itself, it can make itself part of our past. Rewrite what led us here. Mara's voice was razor-sharp. Get ready. The extraction signal flared in the corner of Ray's visor, but he didn't move. Neither did the rest of X-Ultra. The being in front of them, the ancient one who claimed kinship with humanity, was now backing away, eyes fixed on the unfolding dimensional tear. They sent it too early, it muttered. Wrath stepped forward. What is that thing? A remnant of the thought war. We called it the erasure. It doesn't kill. It erases. Memories, culture, matter, eventually time. Then scanned the forming vessel through the open chamber, data flickering wildly. It's breaking causality. Some of this telemetry says it's already been here for centuries. Cora stared at the twisting ship. But it hasn't.
Exactly, the being said.
It's trying to convince reality it has. On the Vanguard's bridge, Caldera cross-referenced every log in the ship's archive. Historical records were subtly changing. One file, then two. Names erased. Missions shifted. Asterisks appearing where clean data used to be. Captain, Caldera said, the mechanism is no longer listed in our artifact log. Mara looked up sharply. What do you mean? It's being written out of our ship's history. In real time. Aaron's console pinged. Same with mission logs. I just lost the Sol Junction deployment from last year. It's like we never left Earth's orbit. Trell swore under his breath. Mara clenched her fists. Prepare every backup node. Lock memory cores to external drift storage. We're not losing ourselves to some ancient ghost. In the cradle below, X-Ultra backed toward the extraction pod. The being followed, but its form was already starting to blur, as if even it was beginning to forget what it was. I can't leave this place, it said. I'm tied to the core timeline. You must anchor the seed. Reyes turned.
How?
Put it inside the mechanism's shell. Let it speak to its own past. Let it remember truth, not distortion. The team reached the pod. As the door hissed shut, the being's final words echoed inside. If you fail, there will be no memory of you ever trying. They launched. The cradle vanished beneath them, replaced by the endless void of the shell's interior and the ship that had no origin. Inside the Vanguard, systems surged. Caldera's voice flickered. Seed interface online. Reacquiring link. Mara looked out the viewport. The remembered ship was now moving, slowly, impossibly, toward them. Not with thrust. Not with gravity. But with intention. Every surface of the vessel shimmered with incomplete textures. Parts faded in and out, flickering like unstable thoughts. Holt whispered, it's still deciding what it used to be. Mara tapped the console. Let's remind it what it never was. The plan formed fast. The Vanguard would hold position just above the artifact's event horizon. X-Ultra would board, not with explosives, not this time, but with the seed now configured into a containment matrix. They wouldn't fight the ship's weapons. They would fight its story. Reyes dropped first. The boarding hook latched into an unstable seam in the hull. The moment his boots touched down, his HUD flickered, replaced by a memory. Not his, but someone's. It was Earth, burning. Human cities cracking under the weight of silent ships. He could hear a voice in his head. You already lost. You just don't remember. He grit his teeth. Yeah, well, we're famous for comebacks. The others followed. Inside, the ship was barely a ship at all. It was more like a dream made of steel. Walls shifted between corridors and cathedrals. Hallways looped into memories. At one point, Cora opened a door and saw her own death. Wrath opened another and saw Earth as a barren husk. Ven almost stepped into a pocket of nothing, where physics itself had quit. This is all fiction, he said, breath ragged. It's trying to write us. Reyes pulled them together. Then we're right back. They found the core, a massive sphere of transparent data streams, pulsating with incomplete memories. It pulsed with whispers.
Submit.
Erase. Unmake. Reyes placed the seed at the center. For a moment, nothing. Then, it lit up. A surge of light exploded from the core. Outside the Vanguard, the remembered ship froze. The false history halted. Inside, walls solidified. The ship screamed, a sound like a billion memories unraveling at once. The seed began to anchor. Caldera called from the bridge. Stabilization reading confirmed. The ship is forgetting itself. Reality reasserting. Mara watched the collapsing vessel on the screen. Tell the team to move. Now. The remembered ship howled. Not through sound. Through space. Through time. Every wall, corridor, node, now turning inward. Not collapsing but curling like burnt paper folding into itself. Memory feedback seared the air. Cora pressed against a stabilizer beam as gravity lost meaning. We need out now. Reyes anchored himself beside the seed. It's holding but barely. It's not just fighting us, it's fighting itself. Ven's scanner trembled in his hands. It's rewriting its own collapse. It's trying to end without consequence. No imprint. No evidence. If it succeeds. Wrath finished the sentence with a snarl. We're never born. Back on the Vanguard. Alarm screamed through the bridge. Aaron, causality bleed across 7 systems. Our short-term logs are looping. Repeating the last 3 minutes. Trell stared at his display. We're in a time eddy. Mara grabbed the rail. Punch us out. Caldera. Impossible. Jump core is frozen. We're becoming tethered to the ship's final memory. Mara's knuckles turned white. Then we cut the memory. Inside the collapsing construct, the seed flashed a final warning. Anchor point lost. The core flickered. Began to shatter. Reyes looked at it, then at the stabilizing field still barely holding. We have to give it a story. It needs something to remember. Ven blinked. What? A narrative. Not facts. Emotion. Meaning. Human context. Wrath raised an eyebrow. You want us to talk to it? Reyes grinned. Not talk. Remind. He activated his comms, broadcasting on every cognitive frequency the ship was using. And then he told it a story. My name is Reyes Tarot. I'm human. I've failed. I've lost friends. I've loved and lost. But I've lived. I've faced impossible odds, and I came back. Not because I was stronger, but because I chose to remember. We don't erase. We carry. The weight, the mistakes, the triumphs. We put names on graves and songs on walls. We remember pain because it means we're alive. We remember joy because it matters. You tried to be perfect, but there's no such thing as a perfect story. Only real ones. And this is ours. The ship paused. For a breath. For a second. Then, the entire construct surged with light. White gold tendrils of memory rushed toward the seed, eager, hungry. The mechanism pulsed, finally anchored by something stronger than data. Meaning. On the Vanguard, the jump core snapped back online. Time realigned. Caldera's voice returned, crisp and stable. Reality restored. Memory chain locked. The ship is remembering itself. Aaron's jaw dropped. The signal, it's collapsing inward.
Final signature folding.
Mara stared at the display, then activated the intercom. X-Ultra, get home. Inside, Reyes and the others sprinted through collapsing geometry, dodging ruptures of static and ghost light. The pod bay came into view. Cora hit the seal. Extraction window. 6 seconds. They dove in. The ship behind them folded.
Once. Twice.
And then it was gone. Back aboard the Vanguard. The stars settled. The anomaly vanished. The remembered ship never existed. But now it did. In the seed. In the story. Mara met Reyes as he stepped off the ramp, bloodied, bruised, but smiling. Did you win? She asked.
No.
He paused. We taught it to lose. Caldera's final report echoed over the bridge. Temporal alignment stable. No further distortions detected. Memory stream secure. Ven checked the mechanism, now calm and pulsing quietly. It remembers, he whispered. And now, so do we. But in the farthest reaches of known space, where time hasn't been and light has yet to reach, something stirred. A new signal. Not rewritten. Not erased. Waiting. Mara stood at the viewport, hand on the glass. Raised beside her. You think they're coming? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered. Then we'll be ready.